And we're back, and it's the middle of the week, and we are here to continue to help you get through it. That's what we're here for. We're gracious, we're helpful, and do we care, Jared? Do we actually care about them?
We care about them, but not about your feelings.
We care. Sometimes we care about your feelings, not always. We're actually not here to talk about your feelings.
Yes.
No, we're not here to talk about your feelings. We're here to say what needs to be said, not what you want to hear. And those are not necessarily the same thing. But I am your host, Professor Paul Markle, coming to you from the Glass Case of Emotion Studios at Student of the Gun University. And I'm waving right now to Armed Security. Hey, how you doing? If you come down to visit us, you will be greeted by Armed Security, but they are kind and gentle, unless you choose to be treated in a non-kind or gentle way. But that's up to you.
How we treat you is your choice.
Yeah, we exactly right. People are treated here exactly the way they deserve to be treated. How's that sound? Does that work for you?
Yes.
If that works for you, it works for me. Well, we are midweek, and we are going to give you a SWAT Fuel Fitness Talk update. But before we do that, we actually have somebody on the line right now, and we promised you that we would have a special guest for you this week, and we're able to do that through the magic of technology and reaching out through the stratosphere with satellite phones and link-ups and all that good stuff. But the gentleman who I have on the line right now is a best-selling author. He's the author of a book called The Bamboo Chest. You can get it on Amazon or anywhere else. He is a television star. He recently starred in a TV show on the Discovery Channel called Treasure Quest, and he was able to survive that. Right now, he is currently, underneath his feet is the state of Alaska, and he's going to go out and slay some Alaskan big game here very soon. So before he treks out into the woods to put the crosshairs on a large animal, shoot it, kill it, and then eat it consequently, we decided to bring him on the show to let him talk about pretty much all of that stuff. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome my friend, and soon to be your friend, Cork Graham. Cork, are
Howdy,
you there?
Paul.
Hey, how is it in Alaska today?
Well, we've been playing this game back and forth with me being on your show, and I've been chomping at the bit to get on there, and it hit just at the time that moose season's coming along, and I got a friend who's going to fly me over to this area that's really remote, and I've been talking to the biologist to find out what's the moose and bear population out there. And when I say bear, I mean big bears, like grizzly bears. And we're talking in the 700 to 900-pound range, and then we've got our moose that's about 1,000 pounds topping out. When you get one of those big, 60 to 70-inch spread bulls. And up here, of course, we're after the meat, so every pound counts, especially as we get ready to go in and we need our winter meat. So I've been focused on that, but the weather's been all over the place. It was kind of okay yesterday, but now it's all socked in, so my friend is going to fly. Says, well, maybe we should wait till mañana. So
you're
I'm
talking
waiting,
about
and here I am talking.
a single or double engine prop plane?
I wish it was double engine. I feel a little bit safer when I'm crossing water. But
there's two engines?
172. Single engine.
You need to get someone with a helicopter. That's all you need to do, because helicopters
here's the thing
fly
you learn in
regardless.
Alaska, that you are not allowed to get in a helicopter and do anything related to hunting or the shooting of animals unless you are working for the Department of Fish and Game, in which case anything goes. So
if you're an employee of the state, it's okay, but if you're just a peasant, if you're just a tax-paying peasant, then you're not allowed?
My friends and neighbors, the Kilchers, I'm sorry to say, did not check the regs on their show, Alaska Last Frontier, with regards to even just the act of being transported from one site to another by helicopter is illegal. And they it was actually Otsley was in court or has been brought up by the Alaska Department of Fish and Game.
That's kind
and
of,
actually notified by somebody on their show that a helicopter was used. And that kind of caught me off guard. And so I've been rereading my regulations because, let me tell you, if you are a subsistence hunter, if you live off hunting and fishing, you do not want to run across a bad situation with DFG.
So even in Alaska, you have the deer Nazis. You have deer Nazis in Alaska too. I thought that was just in like Yankee states like Pennsylvania and Ohio, where they had.
Well, we're getting into a situation
fish and game people that have the Totenkopf on their helmet.
And I could write a 3,000-word feature article about the difference between conservation and sportsmanship. And most of the time they work together, but there are times, for instance, when Department of Fish and Game in the area that I'm going to be moose hunting, the first year I think they shot 97 big brown bears and hopefully some wolves to clear out an area that had been so overpopulated by predators that the moose population had dropped down, and that those people who needed to go and hunt that area for their own sustenance. We're not talking about hunters who come in from out of state who do bring quite a bit of money to assist the local economy. We're talking about people who just want to go out, get their bull, or second bull if they get a permit that DFG will give based on the number in the family, to go on, get that meat and bring it back. Well, when you go out there and you don't even see moose tracks, but you see bear tracks all over the place. But there's a very small window when brown bear meat is actually palatable, and most of the time it's not. And most of the people go out and shoot. Well, come up from the lower 48, shoot their once in a lifetime, $8,000 to $30,000 or $25,000 brown bear, and that money goes into the economy. At the same time, they're taking care of a predator that will wolf down at least 3 or 4 big bull moose within that year.
Now, when you say bull moose, do you take? Is it like elk, where you can choose a bull or a cow?
Correct, and we have a variety of hunting scenarios. For instance, further out in areas that most people would not go as a trophy area would be either a moose. It'll say in the regs, it says 1 moose, or it'll say 1 bull moose, or it'll say if you get a special tag, it will be like a cow tag, which is a 1 cow moose. And what that'll mean is that you'll have to get that sex of moose, and then also within the moose, like in the area that I live on the Kenai Peninsula, we have a very restrictive, and I'm still blown away that Fish and Game is allowing non-residents to hunt this area where it is the largest population in Alaska. I kind of freaky. I've been trying to get away from California, but it is California. It's California on a totally different scale. Here in the Kenai Peninsula, where people are saying, "Oh, well, they're bringing all this type of mumbo jumbo that's basically turned the Fish and Game in California on its head. They can't even practice proper biologically researched conservation practices. They've now got wolves that are coming into California. They've got a mountain lion population that is just so explosive, it's just wiping out the deer in the area. And then also you've got the drug cartels who come in and snare just about every deer that gets into their patch, because deer like to chew on marijuana. So you've got all this effect on the environment. At the same time, it's coming up into Alaska where it's like, oh, well, this is cute and cuddly, but that one's okay, and you can shoot that one. But it's not really looking at the situation, which is you have a number of you want a good ratio between bulls to cows. For instance, on the Kenai Peninsula where I'm at, it's averaging about 15 bulls to every 100 cows. That's a very bad ratio. Then we've got another one which is actually flipped over, which actually for us as hunters is actually really good, which is we got a 50 to 60 to 100 bulls to 100 cows, which I'm not going to tell you where that is because I like that to stretch for a little bit longer.
That's cool.
But, if you do your research and you do talking to the biologist the way I do, then you will find out where I'm going. And more power to you. But it's a situation, where we're even in Alaska, we're being hit by this politically correct, and it is politically. Well, it's not correct. Let's heavily hit it on where it is screwing up the whole country, if not the world, which is dealing with a lot of predators. We could talk about ISIS, which is another type of predator, terrorists, and things that are politically not correct to talk about in the way that we would for those of us who have actually dealt with them directly are not. allowed to talk about. In the same way with fishing game, they're not allowed to say, hey, we went out and we shot 97 bears from airplanes. Maybe a helicopter was thrown in there just for good measure. But because of that, I'm now going to go and hunt an area that has a very good chance of me getting a bull moose. And not only that, the bull moose and the cow population is appropriate and fits with each other in terms of being environmentally sound. And it's a population will continue to grow in a manner that won't eat its way out of house and home. And that's the thing about it. Every animal does that. And people don't realize what happens with wolves. Oh, well, the wolves come in, and they just take the young and the sick. Well, anybody who's ever seen predator dogs in the world, they don't kill the young and the sick. They kill everything that they think that they can get.
I watch National Geographic. Come on now.
The
nice narrator on National Geographic explained to the viewers that it was okay that the jackals took down the gazelle because it was sick and weak, and that lets the other healthy gazelle live. I watched it, and it's okay for the lion to eat the liberal hunting guy or the liberal photographer chick because.
Yeah.
Well, we're not going to talk all about predators today. We want to talk about.
Oh, you're talking about Mr. Treadwell, who turned into.
No. I'm not talking about the
bear
dentist.
munchies. And he brought his girlfriend, who was going to break up with him, and she gets nailed. He comes running. Or, I forget which way it went, but whoever got first hit. But both of them got killed. And then here's the guy who's supposed to be protecting the bears. The very bear that killed him and his girlfriend ended up having to be euthanized too, because once they got a taste for people, it was like, hey, if I run out of salmon, I can always chomp on that guy who lives in the cabin down the way.
Yeah, because he smells right. Well,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well,
you go out there. I mean, I carry a perfect example. I've got a new rifle book I got coming out. I got my New York Times bestseller, The Bamboo Chest, in its second edition now, and I'm happy to say, especially after having been on this, what the ratings people call a non-spin-off new hit series, Treasure Quest Snake Island. But I got a new book coming out for all your shooting aficionados. And I'm trying to do for the 338-06 what Jack O'Connor did for the 270, and that is I got the book called American Cartridge, the 338-06, coming out next year. I'm working with a rifle specially built for this, and might actually turn into my own signature rifle over at the Montana Rifle Company, which is based on the X2, but it's got my favorite little Vietnam tiger stripe, green tiger stripe with another camel pattern on top of the Cerakote barrel in action, and it's topped up with a Leica ER5 2-10x50, which, let me tell you, I'm actually going to the Leica factory next month in Germany. The optics, the glass that you have on a Leica is amazing. And they've got a crosshair called the Magnum Ballistic reticle. That thing, I got it because here we have a 50-inch minimum when you go above the fork or spike, or if you can immediately tell. There's in the area that I'm hunting, it's got 3 brow tines. Here on the peninsula, it's 4 brow tines. But for those of us who hunt and are often seeing what we call tweeners, and I'm very unhappy to say that there have been quite a few tweeners that have been brought into fishing game in the last couple of weeks, which will get you a very stiff ticket and maybe even loss of your hunting
small moose.
Next year.
That's what you're saying.
Horrible, yeah. Right between the spread. Well, with this ballistic reticle, what you can do is you can take those stadia lines, the small little vertical ones, and lay up, because according to Fishing Game, a video that they got out, which is 10 inches, other people say just to go safe, it's 11 inches on the outside of the eyeballs. So bracket those eyeballs, and then measure out twice on both sides, then you've got 50. Boom, you can take that bull. And of course, it's got to be looking directly at you in order to be able to do that kind of measurement, which that's part of the hunting aspect. And if you're calling a bull, that's actually a perfect situation because the bull's coming right at you. And that's kind of cool. I love calling in bull and moose. It's a rush, and also because you know that they're coming in for a fight. And when you see those big bulls rocking their antlers left and right as they're coming towards you, that's an interesting little experience.
Well, let's talk about your adventure. Now, you and I have you let me know that this was coming several months ago, and since that and you actually were under an embargo. You weren't allowed to talk about it until it was aired. But the show is called Treasure Quest. It's on the Discovery Channel. It's actually it ran and now it's running again. Is that correct?
I'm hearing that it is running. I know that it's been going international.
Yeah, if you go to
what I had heard was that actually it was in #1 sales for new shows in Discovery. There's a little thing that goes into Discovery where it's a think tank. They get all together. It's like our government. It's like, we're going to do next year what we're going to do over in such and such country. And in this situation, it's like, well, what are we going to do in that country? And so, well, hey, we got Treasure Quest Snake Island. And it actually went to #1. And now I'm starting to see the effect of that, which is last week it was just started airing in Portugal. So I actually had to learn Portuguese when I was down there to communicate. It's either do that or starve, or go bonkers when you want to get away. So I've been really good at one of those kind of people who can get dropped into a country and pick up a language very rapidly and get going so that if I need to get out of a country real quick, I can do it on my own and not have to wait for a babysitter. So Brazil they're not broadcasting in Brazil right now, which is kind of funny, but they have translated it into Portuguese, and it is now broadcasting in Portugal.
All right, well, the show is called Treasure Quest: Snake Island, so that makes me wonder, are we going to be doing treasure, kind of like Survivor, whatever? Is this a situation where they're going to do other countries, other areas, the Serengeti or whatever? And tell us a little bit, Cork, about the adventures in filming this show. You told me, in our phone conversations, how harrowing some of this stuff was, and that it seemed like they were trying to capture your death on film for dramatic effect.
Yeah. Now, if we were going to do like military speak, you would be bleeping me as I continue to talk to you right now, as I describe all the bleep, bleep, bleep that is happening. And a lot of that stuff is the dangerous stuff that, frankly, I've told everybody. It's like when I came back, I've dealt with PTS. I've been in combat, and I've had to deal with the effects of that in dealing with the PTS of that. 2 weeks after I got back, I had to go through the whole process again, just like I'd come back from Central America. I mean, I've told friends, I said, you know what? This is the most dangerous work I'd done since I left Central America in '90. So for me to be down there and deal with snakes, it floors me, because when you see the camera angles that are being shot, you don't really see how close those snakes really are to us. I mean, you see some of the more distant ones. There were actually quite a few snakes that were about a foot to a foot and a half away from us. And I can only thank God that this guy is not like its much more psycho crazy, aggressive cousin. They're both from the Bothrops family, and which is a viper group, and this one's the Bothrops insularis. The other one that is just a wacko is called I think it's called the Bothrops jararaca. And actually the Brazilians just call it jararaca. And the jararaca, here's the difference, is that they say the toxins are actually that much more intense on the golden lancehead viper that's on Snake Island, or what the Portuguese call Camada Grande, which is the big burn. I can tell you why it's called the big burn in a moment. But the golden lancehead viper, the insularis, it developed its poisons over thousands of years, because everything was getting killed off. I mean, there are no rodents on this island. They got eaten up. They must have been eaten up by the ancestors of this snake. So there's basically these large cockroaches that you always see in the horror flicks. They're about almost 2 inches long. Then you got these boobies, the nests. They sail around, flying around the island and go for fish and all kind of stuff. But they're really big, and the snakes can't eat them. Then you've got these small little sparrows. They're kind of like a little finch almost. And they come in, they land, they got their head down, man. They know their number is up, and they're just looking around saying, please, God, don't get me nailed by this freaking snake. which is just a bite size enough for this guy who's about a meter long, in diameter is about, you're really pushing it inch and a half. It's got a poison that if you don't get medical attention within 1 hour, you're going to lose the appendage that you got nailed on, let's say the fingers, the hands, etc. If you get nailed in the neck, write yourself off. Then, if you also haven't gotten medical attention by 6 hours, you're dead, flat out dead.
So, did they send a you have like anti-venoms with you? Did you have?
Oh, there's a famous anti-venom. I love that. It's kind of like, when you go through a survival training in the military, it's like, well, don't worry. If you got it, we got the anti-venom. And it's like, what they don't also tell you is that you can just have as bad a reaction by the anti-venom as you can by the actual initial hit. So, yes, they have the anti-venom, and it's kind of like a last-ditch resort because you're not really supposed to give the anti-venom until you're actually in a controlled area. So if you're going into some kind of shock, it can be dealt with all the give they got in an ER. When you're on the field, you're just trying to keep the person calm. People go back and forth on whether you want to restrict the blood flow, and then it's a choice. Are you going to sacrifice a limb, or are you just going to hope that you get back in time and then not cut off the circulation and hope that you can get the patient, to the hospital in time? Now, our big issue was that we weren't able to get a chopper to come out because of range, and then also the boat ride was an automatic 2 hours. So we're already ready to go with the idea. Okay, we're done. It's just like, just don't get hit. It's one of those things. And like I say, with the difference between the Jararaca, that Jararaca is like 3 times as big. The fangs on that Jararaca are about 5 inches long, and the girth is like your thigh or calf. In contrast, when you got a full-grown Jararaca, and that sucker is going to go for you because it's dealt with predators. There aren't any natural predators for the golden lancehead, so it's actually it's kind of benign as long as you don't screw with it or get too close. And let me tell you, when you look at snakes and vipers, man, they will give you an expression that will blow you away. They're kind of like looking at you, and they're all calm, but then if you get just a little bit closer, that's when you can tell their eyes flip. And I was told by our herpetologist that as that happens, it's actually constricting. It's getting ready. It's pumping. It's getting ready to launch those fangs into you, and it creates this tense look in its eyes, man. And it looks like it wants to kill you at that moment, and you can see it right through its eyes. It's kind of wild in a very interesting way.
So, did you have a shotgun?
That's the question I get asked all the time. It's like, well, hey, man, why did you have a shotgun? With birdshot, how come you didn't have how come you didn't cut their heads off? Well, Cappy, that's our retired, actually medically retired senior chief, Navy, former EOD, special warfare / Navy diver who was always carrying a machete. I was carrying a machete that always kept, in my pack, ready to reach for. But the thing is, probably about 5 years in jail if you kill one of those things because they are only located on this island.
Now, if they kill you, do they go to jail? Do they go to snake jail if they kill you?
Mm-mm.
No, they don't go to snake jail if they kill you?
They go to the lottery. They get to be like,
woohoo! So you're dealing with a creature that is allowed to kill you, but you're not allowed to kill it. That doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense to me, but that's just me sitting here in my little world.
Yeah, well, I can. And this is one of the situations where I can go back and forth on because there's a major, and actually in the show we did have biopirates that we encountered, and we had that on video. And there is biopiracy where there are people that will come onto the island, and I'm kind of sad to say this. It's like after watching the show, there's probably going to be more people who are going to be looking for that treasure, and the bringing more people on this island. That it's just that, and there's going to be people dying. Let's put it that way. Anybody who's freaking stupid to go on this island, we have permission from the government. Legally, you cannot get on this island unless you have permission from the government and the Navy, and that was all handled by the environmental group. That what they do, and Hui Sebra is scientists who actually developed an a coagulant that's used and actually better than the coagulating bandage that we have, that was developed during the Desert War for wounded. This one has got much better properties, and they're finalizing the design, but it's based on the coagulating qualities of the venom of this snake. And to give you an idea, we actually on the show, our herpetologist Brian had taken some of his own blood, and after he milked the venom out of these snakes, he squirts that blood into a petri dish, and you just see that thing turn into a blood moose. I'm like, okay, rule number 1, don't get hit, because you're turning your blood into moose. And the way he put it,
not the ones that you really, shoot in Alaska.
I'm a romanticist when it comes to my writing and reading, and we all got to do our Shakespeare. So you got Cleopatra and how she committed suicide, and she specifically picked an asp. So that's the lesson in the difference between a neurotoxin and a hemotoxin. Now, a neurotoxin will put you to sleep. It's kind of like, wow, man, it's like have another drink or just relax into it and you're adios, and it's like, bye-bye. With the hemotoxin, you go out screaming.
Well, that's nice. That's nice.
It was just like, man, I didn't have to hear this, and this is just before we're about to go out again.
Did you take basic, there's a lot of snakes here in Mississippi when we do land nav and what have you. One of the first things I went out and I bought the snake chaps or the snake gators. I'm assuming that you guys at very least use the gators as a stopgap or just in case.
Oh yeah. No, we're all in the show. You see some of you can see, some of you can't, but all of us are wearing the snake chaps. Mine are actually being worn on the inside, because it was just getting too hot to wear them over on the outside. And then I also thought, that's 2 different layers, and it's kind of like hitting a parachute, kind of like the old bullet arrow-proof parachutes that the Japanese used to wear as they drag it behind the samurais. And it was actually arrow-proof because the shafts, the points would hit the parachute and then lose all its energy and fall. As they're, riding, and as they're riding, the air filled up that parachute. So my thinking was, hey, wearing my pants on the outside of my snake boots, snake chaps actually, and then they'd have to hit the pants, which are baggy. The old Blackhawk. I was actually wearing my Blackhawk cargo pants that, hey, we got them at the Writers Conference many years ago, and actually I've got 2 pairs. So I said, hey, I'll wear them with me. And they work pretty well, except, they are definitely designed for the desert. So I'd recommend them, but I would love for Blackhawk to come out with a more humidity, hot jungle type of material, like the old ripstop we remember from our days, in the 80s.
Yeah, I don't even know that company was purchased by a conglomerate, and now they've just they were thrown in, and they're just another cog in this monstrous machine now.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, you know who bought them. We're not going to give them any free press on a radio show, but Blackhawk got like a lot of companies. They got consumed by another company, and where they were a very personable company and so forth, they just became just another cog in a big machine. Kind of like that. Well,
I used to have another nickname for the kind of rifles that I used to prefer, and I hate to say that, but now it's Winchester because of what happened to the previous company that I totally enjoyed the accuracy quality, and because of its buyout by
the green company that got destroyed. It's taken up the whole
industry, man. It's just freaking horrible.
Yeah. I'm watching a piece of this show right now, and it's funny where one dude fell on the ground, but I never see the snake and the dude in the same screen at the same time. So I'm wondering if it was if they made it up, if they just cut it in and made it look like he was getting attacked, or
wait, when the dude falls and he's like laying on his back, does he have a bald head?
Yeah.
Okay, that's Brian.
Yeah. So is there actually a snake by him, or was that just put in there? Did they just drop B-roll into the snake to make it exciting?
That's actually leading into the effects of sea urchin toxins. That was the episode. where Brian went down, and he was going into a place he wasn't supposed to be going to in the first place. And you do get that from Cappy, who's like, we're all divers, and a lot of us have been professional divers. And he pulled a stunt that basically got him nailed by sea urchins, and we're saying, why did you do that? And well, I had to go in there and find a clue, for on the tray. It was like, no, it's not going to be in there. And if we were going to go in there, we wouldn't go during the sea conditions that were happening at that time. So as a result, he got these spines in his arm, and it's not only the spine itself, but also the toxin was just continually being pumped by the spine into his arm. So he actually had to have it surgically removed, but he was still dealing with the effects. And I live in Alaska, so it's like for me to go to Alaska, and I even described it in one interview where they asked me, so what's it like for you? And I go, well, imagine that I'm a polar bear in the jungle, and that's basically how I was feeling. Now, he has been residing in Australia for the last 3 years, so he was quite a bit more, acclimated to the heat. But it was the heat and then the toxins that finally took him out. But yeah, nobody was bit. There were some very, very close calls, but it was actually the sea urchins that took him out for that day.
So much to the Discovery Channel's chagrin, no one died.
Yeah.
Well, maybe next time.
Yeah.
So
maybe next time. And let me tell you, they push it.
They pushed it. All right. Well, let's go ahead and give them a quick. Just give the audience a quick teaser. Treasure Quest Snake Island. Just give them a teaser. What exactly is the treasure that is supposed to be hidden on this island?
Well, hopefully this is leading to a next season, because this is one kick butt treasure. It was actually stolen from the Incas. And, we've talked about, I'm half Ecuadorian. So I'm telling my mother, hey, I'm going after this treasure, and it involves this Incan king. And then she's giving me all this rap about, oh yeah, those are the two brothers. One was like ruling from what would become Peru, and then the other one was ruling from Ecuador. And then Pizarro came in and killed the one that was in Ecuador, and gave him the options, like you could either be burned at the stake as a heretic, or you could convert, and then we'll just strangle you. So they strangled him, and then they took his gold. Well, around that time, or just I think it was just before Pizarro, there was a guy, a Portuguese, and not Spanish, it was a Portuguese conquistador by the name of Alejo Garcia. And what Garcia, he joined up with the Guarani Indians. And this is the thing, you always use your enemy of my enemy is my friend. So Garcia got hooked up with the Guarani Indians, who were the lowland Indians, and then he then went over and attacked the Incas, took their gold, and then on the way back down, he was betrayed. And during the betrayal, he was killed. They let his son go, and that's actually how we have record through his diary of the treasure. So the Guarani had possession of this treasure. It disappears. Now it's becoming very mysterious. Then the Jesuits, the infamous Jesuits, they're all over the place, man. They're always playing around in Latin America and all over the world. So the Jesuits come in, and they hook up with the Guarani, and they say, hey, we got to find a better way for you to hide it. Because about that time, Cavendish, the pirate John Cavendish, was hitting the areas, and he got his knighthood out of all the privateering he was doing. I think it was for Queen Elizabeth at that time, and he comes in and he raids Santos, where the treasure was believed to have been held, and they think that he believed that's where it was. It's worth hundreds of millions, about $450 million right now in our market, and went in, hit it, and burned it. He was one of those pyromaniac privateers. So he would go in, and he would raid the cities, the little towns, and he hit Santos, and burned it to the ground. And then the belief is, my theory is that the Jesuits got together and then they moved it. And when they moved it, because of how formidable Snake Island is, and people are saying, "Oh, do you think that they actually put the snakes there, and that's the reason the snakes are there?" Well, because the snakes are so unique, the scientific reasoning for why those snakes are there and why they're so poisonous is not that they were brought over by either pirates or the Jesuits trying to hide the treasure. What it was is just through evolution, where it was kind of like a little peninsula that came out, and then it broke off. And that island was actually a continuation of the land, and the snakes that were on that area were developed on their own privately, and of course they had to develop these poisons that could kill these small birds as quickly as possible, or else they'd get away. As compared to its much larger cousin, slower moving cousin, that all it had to do was hit like a little rabbit or rat or mouse, and the poison would take its effect, but it wouldn't travel that far, and then it could just swallow it up. But with these snakes on the island, they had to have a poison that was that much more toxic. So and it's funny learning it's not the poisons develop out of protection; it developed out of being sure that they could actually eat their food that they injected.
So, do you suppose that we're all out of napalm? Have we run out of napalm? Because I'm thinking,
and that's the thing about it. So, Quemada Grande, what does that mean? You're thinking like a good tactician, which is just freaking burn that island.
Here's what I would do. I would either burn it with as much napalm as we could humanly encounter, as we could find, because I'm looking at the pictures of the snakes, and that is the devil. It's in the Bible, so I don't even want to hear it. There's no argument about that. So either do that, burn it to the ground, or it's rock. I mean, the stuff will grow back after the snakes are all dead, or release a ton of pigs onto the island, and then they can do their. You know the story of Belle Isle. I know.
Yeah. In the east, southeastern.
Well, no. Belle Isle is actually in Michigan. It's in the Detroit River. Now, there's a.
Oh no, I don't know that. Then no. I was thinking about an island off of the South Carolina coast.
No.
Go ahead.
As a Michigander, I can tell you, as somebody who's been to Belle Isle. Belle Isle it's essentially a large park. It's kind of like think Central Park, only an island in the river, and they have a great big statue of a pig. And when you go on field trips, and when you're a public school kid in Detroit and you go on field trips to Belle Isle, they tell you that the reason there's a pig statue there is because the island was populated by poisonous snakes, and people couldn't live on it. So what they did is they released a herd of pigs onto the island. And the pigs, because of their fat, the snakes couldn't kill them with their venom. It just and so they depopulated the island of snakes, and then people went on there and then they ate the pigs and celebrated. And now you can go there and have a picnic.
Or you could throw a bunch of honey badgers.
I mean, in California, that's why one of the main reasons that there are so many wild pigs in California. The Spanish brought them at first. When they first arrived, and they were killing all the rattlesnakes there, and then they ate the pigs. To this day, that's why good areas to hunt wild boar are areas that got a lot of snakes because they're still feeding those pigs. On Quemada Grande, it's called Quemada Grande because Quemada is big. It's like a burn, and then Grande is big, so it's the big burn. So what they tried to do in the 50s is, they I don't know if it was napalm, but they basically tried to burn the whole island. And that's why the structure, the foliage that's on the island is not the original. There are areas that are open with grass, and thankfully, that's areas that I never saw any snakes. Then you go back into the area that's more primitive and or original foliage, and it's the brush and the little trees and the vines, and that's where the freaking snakes are. And it's just, they say on Wikipedia it's like 3 to 4. There were times where I saw no snakes, and then there are times I saw 7 to 8. Within 1 square meter. It was crazy.
That's just not right.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's the devil.
Yeah.
All right, Cork. Well, we got to put the wraps in this one. But thank you very much for joining us for a very enlightening discussion about poisonous snakes. And I don't know how many our people are all they're squirming in their seats now. They're like, yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, a lot of people who don't like snakes don't
I'll watch.
The show. But you know what?
I'll watch that with my feet up.
Go watch the show.
There you go.
What's that?
No, people are watching it with their feet up off the floor. Now, you're tell them real quick. The show's on Discovery Channel. You go to discoverychannel.com, and it's got all the information about the show. You can pick it up wherever. And tell them about the
just
Bamboo
over to
Chest.
discovery.com, and they got all the series shows that are on. They got a big group shot of the team, and we're on an island rock shore, and or a cliff actually in that area. And then you've got videos of us, our own interviews, our own background stories, and then you've also got my own website at corkgraham.com, and there's also a feed off there directly to Discovery, also with all my books and whatever writing or stuff that I've got out in the media.
Okay, you have the Bamboo Chest, second edition, An Adventure in Healing the Trauma of War, is available on Amazon.com, so you can either type in Cork Graham or you can type in the Bamboo Chest, and either way, that'll take you directly to it. All right, Cork Graham, my friend, my Alaskan friend, I will let you go so you can go find moose and stock your freezer for the winter.
Got to eat. I hunt to eat. Okay, thanks, amigo.
Thanks.
Talk later.
Bye. All right, thank you, Cork Graham. Cork Graham is, like I said, he's a big game hunter. He's an adventurer. He's a New York Times best-selling author and a friend of Student of the Gun. So
he's the OCG.
That's right. He's the
original Cork Graham.
He's the original Cork Graham. If you guys want to take a look at his book, go to Amazon.com or just follow the link that we put in the show notes. But it's worth a read. And a lot of you kids out there, you know who you are. You're like, the Vietnam War. That was like back in the old when they had telephones with cords on them and 8-track players and stuff like that. Yeah, it was. Cork was actually very young when he got involved in the whole Vietnam thing. He was actually captured by the Vietnamese government and imprisoned and so forth. But check out his book, The Bamboo Chest. And obviously, we've been talking about it for the last almost hour. Discovery Channel, if you've got Netflix, it's not on I don't think it's on Netflix yet, but I know Netflix is always working contracts with Discovery Channel and releasing Discovery Channel shows. So keep a sharp eye out for that. And the truth is, you can just go to discoverychannel.com and you can watch little snippets from the show and what have you. So there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was a special guest that we had for you. Now, it is still Wednesday. I know you're like, wow, I've been with you guys for 40 minutes, and you haven't even thanked your sponsors. Have you lost your mind, Paul? No, I haven't lost my mind. It's still there. Brownells at brownells.com. Check those guys out. Make sure you're checking out the new products section at brownells.com. Duracoat. You know what I did today, Jared? This morning, I came in early, and I had Duracoated a few guns a while back, and I did them with their basic colors. Now, Duracoat has, like every color under the sun? Pretty much. If they don't have the color, it probably doesn't exist. I think they have, 10 different blacks, and like 37 different shades of green.
I know they have a slightly darker black.
Yeah, they have slightly. Well, there's only one can in existence, and it resides.
Oh, I thought that they put that on.
No, there's only one can in existence. They wanted to make sure that they weren't going to step on. What channel is Archer on? What, Fox or FX? They wanted to make sure that FX hadn't trademarked that.
Oh,
they didn't want to put it out and get a trademark lawsuit. So there is one can currently in existence. I don't think slightly darker black is trademarked, quite frankly. But regardless, here's what I did. They have a finish called matte, M-A-T-T-E, not the name, but matte clear. So if you've got something that is a little shinier than you would like it to be, you can just apply the matte clear to it, and it kind of dulls it up. So that's what I did. I came in really early to the shop, and I had a bunch of stuff that I Duracoated previously. Now, Duracoat does have I think they have a military-grade flat and like super flat and so forth. But some of the stuff I just put regular Duracoat on. And it came out really well. The 2 green camouflage, froggy-looking rifles I did the new AK. And, just as kind of an OCD thing, if you put the matte clear on top of everything that you just did, it adds another layer of Duracoat protection because it is the can technology. And you're like, oh, I see where you're going with that, Paul. Yeah, you do see where I'm going with that, don't you? Duracoat is available from Brownells.com, and so is Frog Lube. It is green, it's minty, and it just works. So check them out at froglube.com. One of the guns, as a matter of fact, it was the Ares rifle, the one that's in 300 Blackout, has a velocity trigger in it. VelocityTriggers.com. You got a black rifle, they got a trigger for you. You know what I did, Jared, that was kind of just for my own edification? I took a black Sharpie and I wrote 300 on both sides of that rifle because it is essentially identical to some of the other 5.56 rifles that I have.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure that I don't,
it's not like a This Is Sparta thing.
Yeah. So I want to make sure that I don't put the wrong stuff. And so the cool thing is I wrote it on there with a Sharpie, and you're like, well, it's just going to wear off. Not if you put a clear matte Duracoat finish over the top of it. Yes. Check out the big brain on Paul there. I'm going to go ahead and thank the last couple sponsors, and then we'll just move on. You can do everything else it is that you do. SWAT Fuel, special weapons and tactics for the body, which is SWAT Fuel Fitness Day. And, all right, I'm looking at my show notes, and things got twisted around. Oh, Century Arms, sponsor of the mobile app. Check out Century Arms. And Crossbreed Holsters. Now, we did already tell them to go to Crossbreed Holsters and thank them. Oh!
Yeah, that was today.
Oh, I just noticed right as we were sitting down to do this that Crossbreed now has an official Gun District page.
Sweet.
So if you're over on Gun District and you're shopping around there for cool stuff to, well, you're not shopping, but you know what I mean. Go ahead. Their page is literally, as you're hearing this, like a couple of days old. So go over there
and say, hey, Student of the Gun.
Say, hey, I found you guys on Gun District from Student of the Gun, and you're welcome. All right, kid. Are you ready to take us out on a high note, a little bit of jazzy?
Sure.
All right, jazz it up, kid.
Fantastic, Vicky Body Ocean at the big Titanic, woman and ice, sweet, energetic, Vicky Body Ocean at the big Titanic, woman and ice, sweet, fantastic, Vicky Body Ocean at the big Titanic, woman and ice, sweet, fantastic.
I've talked about this a little bit before, but I want to get in depth a little bit on it, and it's drinking water. Why do you need to drink water? What does water do for your body? Do you know over there?
It keeps you properly hydrated. It removes the toxins.
Okay.
Keeps your organs healthy.
Yep. All right. That's some of the basic stuff. Is obviously your body is made up of anywhere from 55 to 60% water, depending on if you're male or female. But water helps the body function, and how does it do that? Water helps flush the toxins out of your body. Like if you work out regularly, and you should, when you break down your muscles, it actually creates lactic acid and toxins in your body, and you need to drink the water to flush that out. It'll help your muscles heal quicker.
It's like all your masseuses say.
Yep.
How many of you guys have ever had a professional massage, and what does she say to you?
Drink water.
Make sure you drink plenty of water today.
Start getting headaches, and your body will feel like crap if you don't. What else does water do for you? It actually helps you digest food, and it forms saliva, which is part of that. Saliva actually breaks down your food before it gets to your stomach. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Yes, I did.
But now you do. It helps your brain. It actually helps the, what do they call those? Neurotransmitters. It actually helps form neurotransmitters, and it helps manufacture hormones in your brain. If you don't have water in your body, then you're not going to develop as many hormones as you should. And sometimes that's not a good thing. It helps your body cells grow and reproduce themselves. Water, you need it. Now, actually, one of the important things that it does, these are all important, but one of the most important to me is it helps regulate your body temperature. If you get too hot, then what's your body do? It shuts down. Mm-hmm. If you get too cold, what's your body do? It shuts down. And that's some of the stuff that water does. Let me look at my little list here. I wrote down some talking points for myself so I wouldn't forget.
Acclimatize. This is something that a lot of people really forget about, or they shortcut, or what have you. How many Yankees up there I got listening to me? I got Yankees listening to me. I know you're up in the Pacific Northwest, or you're like, we're not Pacific, we're Northwesters. Okay, whatever. But you Northerners, you like to vacation, don't you? Yeah. So what do? You get on an airplane and you fly to Miami, and then you get on a boat and you fly and you go down the Caribbean, or you go to wherever it is. My point is this: is you're changing your climate, your elevation, all those things. And your body is not used to it. Believe it or not, your body gets acclimatized to wherever it is you currently live. If you live at sea level, it's used to being there. If you live in the mountains, it's used to being there. And then you take your body and you transplant it somewhere else on, planet Earth, and it upsets your body. You're like, whoa, I am not used to this. The oxygen's different. There's different levels of oxygen. The heat's different. The humidity's different. The best way to help your body acclimatize to a new climate? Drink lots of water.
Water.
Yes.
Think of it like this. I'm assuming that all of you guys know what a Bugatti is. It's a very nice car. And if you're driving your Bugatti down the road and it starts to put and stutter, what is that for? It's running out of gas. So if you're like, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to put gas in you, it's still going to stop. It's not going to go any further. If you do that to your body, you have to treat your body like you would a sports car, or like you would something nice. If you forget to put water in your body's not going to just push through it. Your body's going to stop.
Well, and when people go on vacation, what do they want to do? They're like, I don't have to think about work. I don't have to think about my day-to-day grind. I can drink.
Yep.
I'm going to go drink on the cruise ship. I'm going to go up in the mountains. I'm going to go wherever I go. And the first thing I'm going to do when I get there is order a Mai Tai or a Mojito or a rum or whatever it is, the local drink, and you want to do that. So you do that, and you're dehydrating the crap out of your body more than normal. So,
and everybody knows.
I'm not your daddy, but you better drink some daggum water with that booze.
I'm not your daddy, but you can call me daddy. Anyway, man, I just lost my train of thought. That one threw me out of a loop.
Did that throw you out of it? How many times?
Oh, I was going to say that everybody knows what dehydration feels like. You know the symptoms of dehydration.
Headaches.
But I want to take a couple minutes here and have you tell them about hyponatremia.
Okay, there's another thing called hyponatremia, and this will be your lagniappe for the day. Hyponatremia is a critical loss of plasma sodium. You hip cats know that hyper is too much and hypo is not enough. Hyponatremia is when you don't have enough plasma sodium. And
how does that happen?
Well, that happens when you sweat, and you drink just water, and you don't replenish the essential minerals. And this actually happened to me. And what was messed up is hyponatremia was something that people weren't talking about. They didn't understand. Even medical people didn't understand 20, 30 years ago. They weren't real hip, especially emergency medical people. They're like, you need to drink more water, you need to drink more water. And I'm like, I drank 2 gallons of water today. I don't know how much water you want me to drink. And you know how they treat it? They give you a saline solution, IV. And what does that replace?
Salt. Your
plasma sodium. Crazy. That's why intelligent training facilities don't just like... Jaeger figured this out a long, long time ago, and what they do in their big orange jugs is they take Gatorade and they cut it 50%, and they mix it in there so that they're not drinking a whole bunch of sugar, but they are getting some type of electrolytes, they're getting some kind of mineral replacement. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole sports drink thing. I don't like Gatorade myself personally because it has a lot of sugar and it has a lot of vegetable protein in it. And I'm not real big on the vegetable protein stuff that they put in the drinks. But I'm going to tell you this. Make sure that when you go out, like when we go to the range, we always have a bunch of water, but we'll have at least 2 of those 20-ounce, what do they call it? They don't call it light, the Powerade V2.
Zero.
Powerade Zero or whatever. It doesn't have the sugar in it, but it has the other stuff. It has the essential minerals and what have you. So get out there, get active, do what you need to do, but make sure you're putting the right amount of stuff in your body to keep it going.
Do it.
Do it. Do it. And that brings us up to 54 minutes, and that is just enough time for us to tell them about the Enhanced Pocket Lifesaver.
Oh, okay. Can we
Okay.
do it in 3 minutes?
Sure we can.
Okay.
All right, listen up, kids. You guys, we have the Pocket Lifesaver. A lot of you guys who've gone to the training class have said, yeah, Paul, I have training, I have education, and I know that I want a couple other things. I would like to have the gloves in there. I'm like, okay, well, everything you add to a product increases the overall cost of manufacturing the product. And our original thought was, well, we want to keep it cheap, but what we're going to do is we're going to offer the original one, same price, low price, and then we're going to offer the enhanced version. And in the enhanced version, we're going to put the orange rats so that if you have both, you can differentiate between the two. There's going to be a 14-gauge chest decompression needle in a sterile pack with a plastic protective sleeve in it, and 2 pair, not one. I know some of those kits only give you 1 pair of gloves. We like you, so we're going to put 2 pair of nitrile non-latex gloves in the enhanced kit, and it's going to cost more, but it's got more stuff in it. So if you guys are trained, you're like, I've got the education, I know what I'm doing, I can be trusted with a sharp object. I know some people out there can't be trusted with sharp objects, but if you're a student of the gun, if you're a dedicated student of the gun, I'm going to assume that you can be trusted with sharp objects. So
That's what they made super glue for. Anyway.
that's right. So go to studentofthegun.com, and then you go to the shop. Is it shop or what is it?
I don't know.
I'm going to tell you.
StudentOfTheGunGear.com.
If you go to Student of the Gun,
StudentOfTheGun.com, and then you click on the little tab on the top. I think it's shop.
it says, wow, is that ridiculous that we don't know the button
Well, there's so
names?
much going on.
There's
right
so
now.
much going on. All right. It says shop. Duh. Or you can go to SOTGU.com.
There you go. Oh,
All right.
did you see the thing from Sally? Sally sent you and I an email today that gave you something that you could use to block your pop-up ads.
On my Apple?
No. Apple
I'm-
just does that by itself.
Oh, on my
Because-
regular one?
Yeah, on your computer.
I know. I'm sorry. I was cursing about pop-up ads on these stupid websites.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, thanks for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed the program, and we will be back tomorrow. And I want you to remember, you're a beginner once, but you should be a student for life.